podcast where truth moves faster than a Holstein calf. No waiting on some pretty page. We're charting new ground in the digital age. From genomic codes to robot facts, we cut through the noise, no holding back. Not your daddy's dairy news tonight. We're sparking debates with every insight. The ring's not where the real fight's at. It's in the data, in the channel chat. From pasture to processor to your morning cup, we're raising the stakes. Try and get ahead of herd. Yeah! Where the future's more than just a word. Ahead of herd. Come on! The Bullvine's calling, let your voice be heard.
Welcome to the Bullvine podcast, where we cut through the industry noise to bring you the insights that matter most to your dairy operation. You're listening to the voice of progressive dairy farming worldwide. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most controversial topics in modern dairy farming, automated milking systems. While your equipment dealer is showing you glossy brochures and promising revolutionary results, we're pulling back the curtain on what's really happening in barns across North America and Europe. This episode explores the hard truths about robotic milking that nobody wants to discuss openly. We'll examine the real costs, the hidden challenges, and the management transformations that separate successful automation from expensive disappointments. Whether you're considering robots for your operation or just curious about where the industry is heading, this analysis will change how you think about dairy automation. So grab your coffee and let's get into the reality behind the robotics revolution that's reshaping dairy farming forever. This is the Bullvine Podcast.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive from the Bullvine, the show that digs deep into the topics that matter to dairy producers.
And we're doing just that today, diving into a really thought-provoking feature article from the Bullvine that's got everyone buzzing. We're going to unpack it all.
We're exploring robotic milking, a dairy farm revolution, and specifically a piece within it called The Robotic Milker Hangover, the hard truths about automation your dealer won't tell you.
Wow, that title alone sets a powerful tone, doesn't it? Because, in our world, discussions around robots often swing between these wild extremes. Either they're hailed as a magic bullet for, all your farm's woes.
Or they're dismissed as just an overpriced gadget. Yeah.
Exactly. Our mission today is to kind of cut through that noise and uncover the much more nuanced and, frankly, more interesting truth that lies somewhere in the middle.
All right, let's unpack this with what the article so aptly calls the elephant in the barn, the evolving labor landscape. I mean, we're facing a significant labor crisis in agriculture. That's undeniable.
It really is.
The latest USDA figures show agricultural wages averaging, $18.12 an hour, and skilled milkers in some regions commanding over $20.
Yep, we're seeing that too.
And this isn't just a slight bump, We've seen a consistent 3.6% annual increase. Labor costs jumped from 13% of total dairy expenses back in 2011 to over 16% by 2017.
That's a rapid and persistent climb. It's a clear signal that something fundamental is shifting.
But what's truly fascinating here isn't just the rising wages, though they're obviously a huge factor.
Right.
The article shares a quote from a 450-cow Holstein operation in Vermont's Champlain Valley that really struck me. The owner said, "I can find workers.
Okay.
I just can't find workers who want to work weekends, holidays, and who don't mind getting kicked by a fresh cow at 4 a.m.
That quote for me cuts right to the real labor crisis. It's about those lifestyle expectations clashing head-on with the demanding realities of dairy farming. It's tough work.
Precisely. And it's not as if conventional operations are just sitting idly by, right?
Yeah.
The article highlights some incredibly efficient conventional dairies.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We're talking modern double 24 parlors, complete with automatic takeoffs, cluster flushers, where two people can milk 400 plus cows in under 4 hours.
That's impressive efficiency. It shows it's still very possible without full automation.
And the key distinction, as the article points out, often comes down to stable family labor or maybe the unique availability within certain communities.
Like that example from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, the 320-cow Holstein producer.
Exactly. Had the same two milkers for 8 years, folks living locally, really part of the community.
Right. So it makes you genuinely consider, with all the buzz around robots, where does conventional milking still fit? Are we maybe overlooking its value in certain scenarios?
The article argues it's maybe more often than the automation advocates might admit. If you're running, say, under 150 cows, you've got reliable family labor, no major expansion plans.
Then a well-designed parlor can absolutely serve you for decades. Makes sense.
The crucial part for you listening is being brutally honest about your specific farm situation, your labor, your goals.
Okay, so understanding that fundamental why of the labor situation. That leads us directly to the what, and that's the true cost, which goes way beyond the initial sticker shock.
Let's talk money because, it truly does get complicated here. The initial investment for an automated milking system, it can range from maybe $150,000 up to $275,000 per robot.
It's a huge range.
It is. And for a typical 120 cow operation, once you factor in facility modifications, which you almost always have to do, you're looking at $3,200 to $3,800 per cow.
Wow. But here's where it gets really interesting, like you said. Those upfront numbers don't even begin to capture the entire operational transformation you're undertaking. It changes everything.
And if we connect that to the broader financial picture, it's about the massive savings potential on the other side.
That's the carrot, right?
The article highlights a 180-cow Jersey operation in Wisconsin's driftless region. They saw their labor costs plummet from $375 per cow annually down to just $165 per cow after switching to robots.
Okay, do the math on that. For their herd size, that's a whopping $37,800 in annual savings, almost $40,000 a year.
Exactly. So the payback math can work, definitely, but there's a crucial caveat, a big if.
Always an if.
That same Wisconsin operation, for example, dropped $22,000 on service calls and extra maintenance in just year 2.
Ouch. Why?
Because they hadn't developed proper protocols for daily system checks. It really hammers home that the technology truly works if and only if it's managed with precision.
That management piece is absolutely critical, isn't it? It keeps coming up.
It does. University of Wisconsin research backs this up. It's just top-performing AMS operations achieve 42% more throughput.
42%.
From the exact same robotic hardware compared to poorer performers. It's not about the brand of robot, it's about the mastery of management.
That's a massive difference just based on how you run it. So what about payback? How long does it usually take?
Well, the average payback periods are generally 5 to 10 years. Canadian data even shows a pretty rapid 5.2-year average return.
5 years? That's surprisingly quick for such a big investment.
It often turns the corner within half a decade, Which leads to this really provocative question the article poses. The question isn't whether you can afford to invest in automation. It's whether you can afford not to invest. Because fundamentally, automation converts that volatile, always rising labor cost into a fixed, predictable payment.
That's a huge, often overlooked risk mitigation value right there. Taking variability out of a major expense.
Exactly. But money isn't the only challenge or the only opportunity here. We often overlook the international perspective and some of the, nitty-gritty of daily management in our North American conversations.
That's so true. We get focused on our own context.
It's astonishing how little we sometimes discuss what's happening globally. Europe has, 2-decade head start on us with robots?
At least.
The Netherlands, for instance, over 70% adoption. Scandinavian countries approaching 90%.
90%. That's practically standard practice there.
But the key insight isn't just how much they've adopted, it's why and how differently they've done it. They tend to have smaller herds, maybe higher per cow productivity, and they're optimized for constraints vastly different from ours.
That's a great point. Why is it so different? The article gives that fantastic example of a Danish producer, right? Running 150 cows through 3 robots. He gets a 30% higher milk price than we typically see, which helps. But he's also dealing with astronomical land costs and incredibly strict labor regulations.
Different world.
Completely. For him, automation isn't just about productivity gains. It's literally about survival. That's a critical distinction from North American goals, where we're often focused on scaling up, improving sheer efficiency.
That changes the entire lens through which you weigh the investment, doesn't it? It's a whole different calculation.
Totally. But okay, even setting aside global differences, what are some of the day-to-day operational hurdles or hidden complexities producers often miss when they first think about going robotic?
Nutritional complexity, for one, that's huge. You're not just feeding cows for production anymore. You're essentially programming behavior with feed.
Programming behavior. I like that phrasing. Explain that a bit.
Well, the balance between your partial mixed ration, your PMR, and the robot concentrate is absolutely critical. get it wrong, and cows just won't visit the robot enough.
Right, the pellets are the incentive.
Exactly. Free-flow operations, for example, typically need maybe 6 to 8 pounds of robot concentrate daily per cow. Guided flow systems can often get by with a bit less, maybe 4 to 6 pounds.
And at $400, $450 per ton for good quality pellets. That adds up fast. Getting that balance wrong is expensive.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not a static program either. The article mentions a 240-cow brown Swiss operation up in northern Wisconsin.
Okay.
They have to completely reformulate their rations seasonally because heat stress totally changes how cows respond to the robot incentive.
Wow, okay, so it's constant tweaking. Then there's the whole data revolution side of it.
Oh, yeah. Robots capture over 50 individual measurements per cow per milking. Conductivity, activity, rumination, weight.
It's an incredible amount of information. Almost too much sometimes.
That's exactly it. It can be incredibly overwhelming. I particularly like the quote from that New York 280 cow operation. "I'm drowning in data, but I'm not sure I'm making better decisions."
Yeah, I can relate to that feeling in other areas too. It's the dirty secret of the data revolution, isn't it? Having information isn't the same as having actionable insights.
Precisely. The article notes the most successful AMS operations are the ones that figure out how to filter the noise and focus on truly actionable intelligence.
And there are tools for that now, right? AI-powered analysis.
Yeah, the article mentions operations using those tools show about 15% better performance than those trying to manage all that data manually. So the technology exists to help, but it requires, additional investment and a significant learning curve. It's definitely not just plug and play.
No, absolutely not. And we absolutely have to talk about the flip side, the failure stories. These don't get nearly enough airtime, probably because nobody likes talking about them.
True. The article highlights poor facility design as a major culprit. It gives the example of a 200-cow Michigan operation that retrofitted robots into an existing freestall barn.
Uh-oh. How'd that go?
Not well. It created permanent bottlenecks, leading to only 70% utilization of the robots and twice the industry average fetch cows they had to manually go get.
Oof. That's a classic save now, pay later trap, right? Trying to shoehorn it in instead of designing for flow.
Exactly. It costs you efficiency for decades. And then there's the management complexity itself. The dramatically different skill set needed for data-driven management catches many off guard.
Which explains why the article says 70% of large U.S. dairies putting in robots choose new construction over retrofits.
Right. They're avoiding those permanent inefficiencies by designing the barn around the robots from the ground up. It costs more upfront, but likely pays off long term.
So with all these incredibly complex moving parts, what does this mean for your daily life on the farm? And maybe what exciting developments are on the horizon?
Well, one aspect that's maybe hard to quantify but impossible to ignore is the potential quality of life improvement.
The human element.
Yeah. The article shares the anecdote of an Iowa 210 cow producer who hasn't missed a single one of his daughter's basketball games since installing robots.
That's powerful. That's the kind of stuff that resonates beyond the dollars and cents, reclaiming personal time.
But to offer a crucial counterpoint, the stress doesn't magically disappear. It just changes form.
How so?
Well, that same producer admitted to worrying about robot alarms going off at 2 a.m. The 247 nature of dairy means problems can still crop up anytime. You just get notified differently.
Right. So successful adapters, they embrace that shift from physical labor to systems management. They get comfortable with troubleshooting tech, leveraging the data.
Exactly. While others might struggle, maybe genuinely missing the hands-on interaction and the physical routines with their cows, it's a different way of farming.
And beyond the personal impact, there's a growing environmental angle we should probably touch on.
Definitely. Automated systems can reduce water usage by, say, 15-20% compared to conventional parlors. That's absolutely crucial in water-stressed regions.
Big deal, yeah. And feed.
Plus, the precision feeding capabilities mean less waste, more efficient protein utilization. You might even see 5-10% improvements in feed efficiency. That leads to lower nitrogen excretion, too.
Better for the environment, better for the feed bill, win-win.
Potentially. But it's crucial to remember, again, these environmental benefits are management dependent. A poorly managed system can actually negate these advantages if cows aren't eating right or the system isn't running efficiently.
Good point. It always comes back to management.
It really does. The article also touches on regional variations that often get overlooked. What makes perfect sense in the upper Midwest, think labor scarcity, harsh winters making automation almost a survival necessity.
Like that northern Minnesota producer whose milker literally couldn't make it in during winter storms.
Exactly. That scenario looks very different from, say, California's Central Valley. There, labor might be more available, but intense regulatory pressure means operations are looking to automation for consistency, for reducing compliance risks.
So the why changes depending on where you are. And financing, is that evolving too?
Yeah, we're seeing creative financing solutions like lease arrangements cropping up, especially in areas with strong agricultural banking relationships. It's making these systems a bit more accessible.
And looking ahead, what's on the horizon technologically?
It's genuinely exciting. The technology is evolving at an incredible pace. We're already seeing deeper AI integration, vastly improved sensors, unified farm management platforms that integrate everything, robots feed mixers, health monitoring.
So moving from just milking automation to comprehensive farm automation.
That's the direction. And this plays directly into the generational divide, right? Younger producers, often more comfortable with tech, tend to embrace these data-driven approaches more readily. It's becoming a potent tool for succession planning, keeping the next generation engaged.
Makes sense. A different kind of challenge, maybe more appealing to some.
Absolutely. The article summarizes it so well with a simple, pragmatic framework for evaluation. First, you need to honestly assess your labor situation. Is it stable, sustainable long-term?
Step 1.
Yeah.
Be honest with yourself.
Step 2, rigorously evaluate your management style. Are you truly comfortable with technology and making decisions based on data, not just gut feel?
That requires some self-awareness.
Third, realistically consider your facility constraints, new build or retrofit. And are you willing to accept the potential compromises of a retrofit?
Big question there.
And finally, think about your long-term goals. Expansion, better work-life balance, engaging the next generation. Automation can be a powerful tool for these, but it's crucial to remember it's one tool among many. It needs to fit your specific vision.
Excellent summary. And that brings us to the crucial question for you, our listeners.
Yeah.
What does all this mean for your operation today?
So after all that exploration, all that digging, what's the single most critical takeaway for a farmer listening right now? What should they really focus on?
For me, number 1, it starts with understanding the labor risk hedge. Think about it. A 200-cow operation switching from $375 per cow in labor cost down to $165 per cow with AMS. Like we said, that saves $37,800 annually.
Significant savings.
But more than that, with agricultural wages consistently hitting $18 plus an hour, this isn't just about saving money today. It's a powerful insurance policy against labor market volatility tomorrow. It secures your future against rising unpredictable costs.
That's a great way to frame it. Okay, what else?
Second, data-driven management beats gut instinct. It just does. Automated milking systems capture over 50 data points per cow per milking. That absolutely dwarfs the maybe 5 to 10 manual observations you get in conventional parlors.
And the benefit of that is?
Earlier mastitis detection through conductivity monitoring. Incredibly accurate activity-based heat detection. It lets you be proactive, not reactive, which dramatically improves your bottom line.
Right.
Less guesswork, more precision.
Makes sense. What's third?
Third, you really have to consider that free-flow traffic systems deliver premium production. Research consistently shows these barns can produce an extra 2 pounds of milk per cow daily compared to guided systems.
2 pounds is 2 pounds.
Exactly. Now, yes, they require maybe more robust nutrition programs, and you might accept slightly higher fetch cow rates. But given today's tight feed margins, that extra production often more than justifies those management trade-offs.
Okay, good point. Number 4.
Number 4 is why new construction beats retrofit economics so often holds true. Retrofits might seem cheaper upfront, sure. But the article clearly states 70% of large dairies choose new builds for a very compelling reason. Retrofitting often creates permanent bottlenecks.
Those narrow alleys, suboptimal robot placement.
Exactly. That save now, pay later mentality can cost you efficiency for decades, far outweighing any initial savings. You live with those compromises for a long time.
Right. And the final key takeaway.
Finally, and maybe this is the most important one, management skills matter more than hardware. We saw that 42% difference in throughput earlier. Top AMS managers extract so much more from identical robots.
It comes down to the people again.
It always does. It comes down to superior protocols, exceptional data interpretation. You absolutely must invest in training your team for data-driven management because the technology's effectiveness at the end of the day depends entirely on the skilled people running it.
Great summary. Ultimately, what we've learned today is that automation isn't just an equipment upgrade. It's a complete operational transformation, a total system overhaul.
Yeah, the biggest mistake a producer can make is treating robots like just expensive parlor replacements.
Instead of recognizing them as integrated systems, and the potential payoff is real. Labor savings of $175 to $250 per cow annually. Milk yield bumps of 2 to 12% when you really dial it in.
And that Canadian data point dropping labor costs from over 8% of revenue down to just over 4%. That's real profit flowing straight to your bottom line.
The Europeans figured this out decades ago, and progressive U.S. operations are now seeing those average payback periods of just 5.2 years. It genuinely makes you consider, is your current setup costing you more than you realize?
Excellent points. And I think that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. For more articles and insights like this, be sure to visit www.thebullvine.com.
Definitely check it out. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your deep dives. Thanks so much for listening.
That's a wrap on today's deep dive into the automated milking reality. The automation revolution isn't just about buying robots. It's about completely reimagining how we approach dairy farming in the 21st century. The producers who thrive in this new landscape won't be those with the newest technology. They'll be the ones who understand how to integrate that technology into comprehensive management systems that serve their specific goals and constraints. Before you make any major decisions about automation, visit some real operations. Talk to producers who've been running robots for 3 years or more. Ask the hard questions about maintenance costs, fetch cow rates, and management complexity. The technology is proven, but success still depends on execution. You can find all the research, data, and additional resources from today's episode at www.thebullvine.com. That's TheBulvine.com. While you're there, sign up for our newsletter to get cutting-edge dairy insights delivered straight to your inbox. Connect with us on social media for daily industry updates and behind-the-scenes content. And if today's episode sparked questions about your own operation, drop us a line. Your challenge might become our next deep dive analysis. Thanks for trusting the Bullvine to deliver the unfiltered truth about dairy farming. Keep pushing the boundaries. Keep asking the tough questions. And remember, the future of dairy belongs to those bold enough to shape it. This has been the Bullvine Podcast. Until next time, keep milking smart.